So exteriors, I think exteriors, I'm not going to spend too much time on because we can all sort of see this stuff. You can see when a piece of siding is missing from a house. And that itself isn't necessarily a huge deal sometimes because this house actually had brick behind the siding anyway. So it's not like the water was really getting into the house. So if you do see like missing siding or something, just check on the other side of the wall and see if you're seeing any water. And even this isn't like, I know it's ugly, but it doesn't really destroy the house. It just visually doesn't look nice because the paint's peeling. And the reason people now are going to vinyl is because repainting a house is so expensive. Like the amount of scraping and painting and prep work you have to do to properly paint the house is just not worth it. So people are just going to vinyl. But one thing I will show you guys that is an interesting type of siding is EIFS. So say that with me, EIFS. Has anybody heard of this stuff? It looks like stucco, but it's actually like a fake stucco. EIFS, E-I-F-S. So it means exterior insulation finishing system. It's a fancy word for like basically styrofoam type of stuff with a stucco on top of it. The issue with this stuff is that if it's not installed correctly, it can actually retain a lot of moisture. And then we get like issues with mold. And so this was an example where something broke a piece of it, and now the whole styrofoam inside is exposed. So every time it rains, the water is literally getting sucked up and going into the house.
So it's a cheaper version of stucco.
Correct. But it also insulates the house too. So it has its positives and negatives, but I would say that the negatives might outweigh the positives. The newer stuff is better, like the older stuff that they were using, I think in the 80s and the 90s was really bad. And to even do an inspection, like they actually have a guy who will go around, he'll drill holes in there, take core samples out and let you know if there's like mold and stuff. And it's that guy is even more expensive than me, which is crazy. So yeah, it's not cheap. So I would almost, this was actually in Irvington too. So I would almost rather see like just brick and vinyl on a house than have to deal with
She
Eve.
was saying it looks pretty, you would never know.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Yeah,
Is
I
there
mean,
a way to tell like the cheap brand versus
it's
like
it's not even the brand, it's the installation. So there's like, it comes with like a book of like, this is how you install our product correctly. And that's why then you need like another, like an EIFS inspector to go out and make sure that they did it right. So
Can a home inspector like also?
you could, but it's so specialized,
Mhm.
you know. I would literally go to the guy
well,
who
just add one more of those things to it.
I know. One day. 27. So no, seriously. I wanted to talk about windows because this always surprises people how expensive windows are. So if you're interested in doing a fix and flip or just buying a house and fixing it up, you really need to account for windows. And these are personally, one of the easiest things to inspect. You just open and close it, see if it opens and closes, look for broken glass. But yeah, at 300 something dollars per window, plus you got to pay the guy at, 150, 200 something dollars to install each one. You're looking at like $500-600 per window. And if you're doing a Victorian house, which has a lot of windows, there's probably like 10 windows just on the front facing side of the house. Yeah, that's going to be a really expensive fix and flip.
And Brandon is also a licensed contractor, so he can put in windows as well.
So, but one thing I can show you guys with windows that's a really common issue is if you get moisture between the pane of glass, that means like one of the seals that is has like an airlock on the window is broken. And so either you just have to replace the whole window or you could take it to a guy who's going to replace the panes, but that itself is probably expensive. So I just replace the whole window at that point.